What is going on, Colts Nation? Here's Jamal Lawrence, and I'm Eric Smith, your co-host of the Colts Cast.
Yo.
Hey, the Indianapolis Colts didn't have a chance to draft Brock Bowers in the NFL draft. I know a lot of Colts fans were upset about that. The Bakers said we gonna double down and get Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers, so they scooped him up. But even if they did have a chance to draft him at number 15, I'm starting to think they would have passed on him. Maybe, just maybe. Sure, he'd likely be, the best tight end in the group day one. But we have forgotten about one stud who we had. We loved this guy a year ago. And what's his name, Jamal? I think I forgot.
Jelani Woods. I think a lot of
Jelani
people may have
Woods.
forgotten that name for just a little bit, just because a little hiatus he went on.
Exactly. And, this was your guy, right, Jamal?
Yeah, I was definitely ready for him. I've seen a lot of film on him before, when in his college days, once we drafted him, I saw exactly why Chris Ballard went for him. We're going to drop into that in just a second. Before we get into it, make sure y'all go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for us. Let us know your thoughts and your comments below. Making our way to 2,000 subs. We're almost there. It's help us get there. Please, your first time listening, welcome. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. Let's have some fun with this one today, though. Jelani Woods.
Yeah. I mean, we lost this guy for the entire 2023 due to a hamstring injury. That must have been a crazy hamstring injury. It just was off and on. But he's back. I mean, that's the shining light right now. He's back. He's impressed at OTAs. I think we forget how freakishly big and athletic this guy really is. He's probably a tiny bit bigger than Anthony Richardson. I don't know, but if you stand them side by side, I mean, they're both colossal. But he was catching a number of passes from Richardson, and I think it's clear Shane Steichen has a role carved out for him in 2024. That's really we get into this Brock Bowers thing, and I know a lot of Colts fans wanted him, but you got to think, he was almost just like this shiny toy that everybody wanted. We wanted to add a really great offensive weapon. This is why we were looking at Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas Jr. We were looking at all these studs, and really, with regards to positional value, I think the Colts did it right. I mean, Laiatu Latu was the better pick, hands down. We just didn't see it. I including myself. I don't know about you, Jamal. I know you had a couple of people in mind for that number 15 overall pick. Laiatu Latu was not in our head, and the Colts like to do this. They put out some smoke, and they go off the deep end and draft somebody that wasn't even on our radar. And I was focusing on a cornerback. A lot of people were focusing, like I said, on an offensive weapon like Brock Bowers, but pass rush, so important in the modern NFL. But that brings me back to Jelani Woods. I just think, again, positional value. Okay, fine, you upgrade Brock Bowers from these other guys, but the pass rush, it just got immensely upgraded. And then we forget about Jelani Woods. He has a chance to be a breakout performer this year. We loved the pick 2 years ago when we took Jelani, and I think betting on traits for a tight end is the best way to do it, and that's exactly what we did. The athleticism is off the charts. Huge red zone target. He's a yak monster. Middle of the field winner. I love Jelani, man. So when you think about it like that, you're like, okay, I think the Colts actually did this right. They knew Jelani. I mean, they had to know Jelani Woods was going to come back 100. I won't say 100% healthy, but healthy enough where, hey, our tight end group is good. Let's focus on another group for this first overall pick or first round pick. And when you think about it as well, this tight end group is very competitive. All of them guys want to be a tight end one. You got Mo Alley Cox, Kylan Granson, Will Mallory. I mean, this might be one of the fiercest groups to, compete this offseason. But Jamal Woods has the highest ceiling, right? If he can stay healthy and improve as a blocker, sky's the limit.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think that there's two things you just touched on: staying healthy and improving as a blocker. Excuse me. That's one thing I think that we've all run into, especially when it comes to the tight end position in this day and age when we have the Brock Bowers and the Travis Kelce's and the George Kittles and all these guys. Some of them are decent blockers, but we all want to see that flashy go and get the ball guy. But we need to have those blockers in there with us. That's just the
Hmm.
fact of reality. But like you said, with Jelani, I mean, freak monster was 6'7", I think he is. He's massive, towering over even Joe Flacco. This is the biggest dude on the team besides maybe an offensive lineman or two. And I guess Big Grove, or excuse me, D-Buck. But anyway, let's I
Yeah.
digress. Um, like you said, though, he missed an entire 2023 season, hamstring injuries in both legs. Right when he thought he was coming back, the other hamstring started acting up. So that was kind of disappointing to see. But I tell you what, we've seen him just step back into another level. James Boyd posted that video on X back in March showing Woods working out. He looked great. I mean,
Hmm.
jumping, or hopping, I should say, from one leg to another, holding the medicine ball, looked really good. Also, he stated this week that he feels more explosive than he ever has, and he's in a better spot. He also mentioned finding the right trainer. The right trainer is most important for these guys. We know this, especially when it comes to the league. So often in college, you got to remember these guys are working unless they're at the LSU's and the Bamas and these places like that. Some of their strength and conditioning and nutrition programs may not be the best, so they're just using a freak athlete as a freak athlete. Now you have to hone in and fine tune those things when you get to the NFL because the skill set and these guys, even the smallest people on the team possess, are another level than maybe what some of these guys got in college. So he finally found himself a trainer that can get him right and get him in the position, weight wise, strength wise, and athletic ability wise to elevate him to another level. The biggest thing I think that he has to do right now for himself, though, is to prove to Shane Steichen that he's ready to play first and foremost, especially with a packed tight end room like we have, Eric. You already mentioned it. Not to mention one person you didn't mention, and I was glad you didn't because I know some people have been thinking about him too. We have Ogletree who's back as well. That's just another one in the mix for us. So this
That
is the
is
world's
true.
most packed tight end room ever. I got a feeling someone's going to get dropped somewhere down the line. Don't know who it's going to be, but somebody's probably. I mean, we don't need 8, 9 tight ends.
Ah, well, we're carrying 9 tight ends
I
on
know.
the
I
final
know.
53-man roster. You know what's happening.
They said we only need 44 other players. We need 9 tight ends for sure. But so we're gonna see what happens. But I think that it's just a situation where now there's a little more pressure than there was maybe 2 years ago when he first stepped on the scene. So now we have all these people who are hungry because we've seen how universal this tight end position could be for us with players just rotating in and out between Granson, Mallory, and these guys last year. Now you got to really be ready to step up in an explosive offense that shows that we don't need somebody like Bowers, like you mentioned. We don't need somebody like him with all the explosive weapons we have around the ball for us this year. So when we see Jelani step on the field in OTAs, he says he feels good, he looks good, everything is going well for him. Now at this point, the ball's in his court. He has to come out and just show that not only is he better physically, but he's better mentally from missing that time off the field as well. Because as I talked about, even with Anthony Richardson and those guys who dealt with injuries this past year, he said in a recent interview that he feels better, that he learned more about the schemes, more about the gameplay. And that's what's important because when you have the mental portion right, that physical attributes step in and they can elevate. Like you said, the sky's the limit with the ceiling for that. But when you don't have the mental capacity to understand what's going on in the game, you can be the most athletic freak out there. But if you don't know how to utilize and use your brain for that portion, it doesn't matter. So now I think he may be stepping into a different realm for himself. So I really think that the Jelani has a lot of potential this season, a lot of potential, but it's all going to start with him. Steichen knows who he is, and Steichen probably has some trust built up into him right now. Only thing he can do is break Steichen's trust, and I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to come in there and show him that, hey, I'm here to stay. I want that tight end one spot and a room full of 9 people. Let's go ahead and get this paper.
And Steichen, he holds his players accountable.
Hmm.
That's something we loved seeing last year. If you ain't gonna play, if you ain't gonna perform, you out of here.
Yep.
And he made that clear last season. But you have to think, they like using. I've seen it on. I don't know the exact percentage, but you know the Colts will be using 12 personnel, and we need good blockers on both ends,
Hmm.
both our tight ends. We need good blockers to set up for these explosive runs for this explosive running game. Jonathan Taylor should be fully healthy. Anthony Richardson should be fully healthy. These zone reads and split zones and all power up the middle, power to the edge. It don't matter. Like we need blockers, and that's where even our wide receivers. I've always touted Alec Pierce as a really good blocker. So everybody needs to be able to block for this game, for this running
Absolutely.
game to be successful, and that's Jelani Woods, that was one of his weak spots. So we'll see if he gets to that point. I'm excited for the young man.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited for this Colts offense in 2024, though, to say the least.
Absolutely. Explosion. Explosive. Every single play is what we want to see.
Yep. Hey, that's going to be it for us, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Colts cast. Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you're on YouTube, we are live on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or any platform you use to listen to podcasts. We'll be back next time to give you some more Indianapolis Colts content. Y'all take care.
Take it easy.